Good morning, friends, and welcome to the pre-market view. US markets were flat, and some of the data points that came out in terms of housing starts were positive. But the Eurozone continues to have a problem in terms of the Cyprus bailout plan and the uncertainty around it, as the Cyprus parliament has rejected the offer to have a tax on the depositors. And because of that, that uncertainty has pretty much remained there about what kind of next move could be there to resolve this deadlock. When we look at the Asian markets today morning, Japan is shut, and Hang Seng and most of the other markets are marginally up. In terms of flows, friends, FIs were net buyers in the cash market to the tune of a meager 63 crore. The domestic institutions were also buyers in the cash market to the tune of 71 crore. However, in the index futures, the FIs were major sellers to the tune of 871 crore. Back home, we had Rbi Policy Meet where the outcome was in line with expectations, about 25 basis points repo rate cut, but there was no CRR cut as some section of the market was expecting. But more importantly, because of the political uncertainty which has come about after the announcement by the DMK that they are going to pull out of the UPA government, that has led to some kind of a sell-off in our markets, and market actually was down almost about 75 to 80 points, decisively below 5800, which is definitely quite weak for the overall sentiment. And on that note, let me invite Sadhna to take us through important F&O cues, data and strategies that we can have in the F&O markets.
Good morning, friends. Let's have a view on derivatives. Yesterday, markets were trading in negative terrain in spite of RBI has reduced the rates by 25 basis points. But due to domestic political uncertainty and issue of 2G spectrum further deteriorate the sentiments. And as we see, around 10 lakh shares were added in open interest. Also, Nifty futures premium decreased from 16 points to 5 points, indicating this is the third day in a row short positions have been building up with every rise in the market. On the options front, call options of 5,700 seen a good accumulation of open interest by around 122%, followed by 5,800 and 5,900. Overall, our bias for the market is negative, and 5,700 can be targeted on lower side. From intraday perspective, one can go long on Dabur India with a stop loss of 134.20, and one can go short on Tata Chemical with a stop loss of 326.35 and TCS with a stop loss of 1,571.85. Thank you.
Here are the important news and events that we are tracking today. First of all, RBI, as I said before, has cut the repo rate by 25 basis points, and the CRR has been left unchanged at about 4%. However, what is more important to know is that RBI has reiterated that under the current circumstances, there is a very limited room for a further easing. So one should not expect a rate cut of more than about 50 to 100 basis points going forward. Also, they have indicated that the country is facing a issue of low growth and high inflation, which is called stagflation, which is definitely a worrying sign for the overall growth of the country over the next couple of years. Political chaos continues to weigh on the sentiment of the market, as DMK has pulled out all its 18 MPs from the UPA, and all their ministers also have resigned, and this has definitely left UPA with the crucial support coming in from Samajwadi Party and BSP. So this has added to some kind of uncertainty over the continuance of the government. Also, one has to keep in mind that these parties have their own stance towards some of the important bills like insurance and pension. So there could be some kind of a roadblock in terms of the further reforms because of this development, which is definitely negative for the market sentiment. Telecom, some update on the fact that the 2G court has summoned some of the important corporate honchos like Sunil Bharti Mittal of Bharti and Shashi Ruya of SR, and also the former MD of Vodafone, Ashim Ghosh, in this particular proceedings, which is definitely sentimentally negative for some of the telecom stocks, particularly Bharti. And the court has also summoned the former DOT Secretary Shamal Ghosh, who was secretary at the time of NDA ruling. So that entire space has come under some kind of a stress because of this development. In another news, India has approved the food security bill, which is pegged at about 1.3 lakh crore, and as far as the sugar decontrol is concerned, the decision has been postponed where some section of the market was believing that we could have some positive news. So this has been a blow for some of the companies in the sugar space like Renuka Sugar, Balrampur Chini, Bajaj Hindustan. So there could be some negative reaction onto that stock. And the cabinet has called for an EGOM on sale divestment, where there is some difference of opinion about the pricing of the issue. The ministry is asking for a price of 60, whereas the finance ministry is looking at a price of about 70 rupees. So this is something that would be known over the next couple of days. Asian Paint has acquired 51% stake in the kitchen solutions provider company Sleek. So they are moving into this particular space, which is a bit of a positive for Asian Paints. And IDBI Bank is looking at raising about $500 million from the overseas debt market. And 3M company, wherein the promoters are holding a large stake and will have to divest because of this new SEBI norms, is looking at doing an OFS for about 1,13,000 shares, and the price of that would be known by the end of the day. In terms of another company specific news, Specialty Restaurant is in talks to acquire American regional brand for its foray into quick service restaurants on the lines of McDonald's and Subway. So one can go long on Specialty Restaurant with a stop loss of 164 and a target of about 173 to 176. Remember, this stock is also under Sharekhan coverage, and we have a price target of about 240 rupees for the long-term investors. Jindal Steel and Power is looking at acquiring a majority stake in iron ore assets of Australian firm Apollo Minerals. So one can go long on Jindal Steel and Power with a stop loss of 333 and a target of about 350 to about 357. SKS Micro, there are some positive news as the Supreme Court has allowed it to recover some of the NPLs which have been written off in the books to the tune of about 1350 crore. So some part of that SKS Microfinance could recover, so which is positive for it. So one can go long on SKS Micro with a stop loss of 138 and a target of about 145 to about 147. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a nice trading session. See you tomorrow at the same time.